Mm. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Imperfect Action Show. And as you know, on this show, what do? We break down business and marketing principles, strategies, and lessons to bring you a lot of value. So then you can take that value, you can take this information and input it in your life into your situation. Now, what I'm going to do, as you guys already know, is I am going to send a link out to the community to let them know that we are rocking and rolling today. So give me a second. Community, what up? What up? What up? I see y'all. Let me send this little link out real quick. Let people know we rocking. We are live. And so the ones that are locked into the community, you would have received that text message already. And I'm just waiting for our guest. So our guest today, hey, what's going on? It is Taco Tuesday, huh? Our guest today is Stephanie Hoyt. She's going to be talking about business structure and funding. And there's a lot of people that can help with funding, business credit, business structuring, things like that. So I like to bring different people on and give different perspectives. You know what I mean? So in the meantime, what are we going to do? We can have a serious Q&A, right? We had an amazing call yesterday. So if that's anything that you guys want to connect with, we could talk about yesterday. We could talk about Coach Kelly. She did her 100K in a day. That was an amazing episode. We talking about Damon. Damon was going over like mindset, breakthroughs, overcoming limiting beliefs. Whatever you guys want to kind of chat about, we could do that on today's episode. Or if the guest doesn't show up, I'm gonna just have to get busy. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna just have to take my own imperfect action. So in the meantime, I'm gonna just take a quick little look at some of my notes that I can share with you guys. And one of the things that I'm learning at a rapid pace is NFTs. So we can always go over that, and I can kind of break NFTs down in layman's terms, or we could talk about the basics to financial literacy. Like if you're in debt or you're in a situation where you're not really great with your money, some things like that, we could talk about some basic elements to put you in position so you can have a solid foundation in 2022. Any of those. So I'm gonna leave it up to the community. You guys let me know. Do you want to hear about you want me to break down basically what an NFT is in layman's terms so you can understand that and how it may be applicable to your situation? Or would you like me to go over the basics to setting up a budget? Okay, I see the NFTs coming through. All right, cool. So we can kind of go over that. And I actually got a YouTube video coming out in about a week chronicling the NFTs too. So let me just pull up my guest's contact on it right there. Just in case she pops on, I can have her communicate. All right, guys. So look, NFTs. What is an NFT? Well, NFT is a piece of technology, right? Let's look at that. It's a piece of technology. What you need to understand is that the way that the world is moving, this is like, it's like technological investing, right? But I'm gonna break it down so it's easy for you to understand. So NFT is basically technology. It's a form of investing, and it's where the world is moving. All right. So what does NFT stand for? Non-fungible token. Non-fungible token. What does that mean? Well, it means it's one-on-one. It cannot be duplicated, and it has its own set value. All right. Now, what is an NFT connected to? Well, an NFT lives on, here's some vocab for you guys. NFT lives on a blockchain. But actually, let me even bring it back. So you got NFT, non-fungible token. I took some notes. So let me just read off the notes that I have for you, and I'm gonna break it down a little slow. NFT is a digital asset, like I talked about. It's a digital asset that represents a collectible, right? We're talking about art, music, videos. It can be JPEGs. It could be PDFs. And it's certified and authentic, and it's imprinted on the blockchain. Well, now you're probably like, well, what is a blockchain? Let me refer to the notes. The blockchain is a system of transactions that are recorded, right? A system of transactions that are recorded and then maintained across computer servers. So all it is the blockchain where NFTs are recorded is a system of transactions, right, that are collected on these computer servers. So basically, how do you get an NFT? You get an NFT by using cryptocurrency. Well, what is cryptocurrency? Let me break that down. Let's go to the notes. Cryptocurrency is a digital currency designed to work as an exchange or a medium, right? And it's also through a computer network that is decentralized, meaning our money, for the most part, even though the US dollar is not backed by anything, it's centralized, right, by the banks. Cryptocurrency is decentralized, so it's not backed by a bank, right? But it's on these blockchain ledgers. So every transaction that you make with a crypto to purchase an NFT or whatever the case may be, it's recorded on the blockchain. It's public information. We can see it. It can be tracked. They know what's going on. Okay. So how does this and why does this matter for you? Okay. Think about what you currently do, what category you're in, what business you're in, what do the things that you like to do, the things that you like to collect, whatever. Okay. Now, just imagine you had digital representations of these things. Well, those digital representations, those could be an NFT. So we can actually, we will talk about that a little bit later. Stephanie just pulled up, so let me make sure that we welcome her in.
Hey, how are
Stephanie,
you?
what's up?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I was just, taking some imperfect action and holding it down until you pulled up.
Awesome, awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me on.
100%. 100%. How are you doing this morning? How's everything?
Everything is great. I'm doing just fine. Thank you for asking.
I
How
see
are
you got.
you?
I see you got the jacket on. I like the branding. You know what I'm saying?
Brandon is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm doing great. Things are wonderful. I got nothing but things to celebrate. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. I'm glad to hear that.
So definitely. So you didn't really miss much. Episode 32. Yeah, episode 32. And I wanted to bring you on. Obviously, I've been following you a little bit. We had a conversation in the DMs. I'm like, I would love for you to come on the show. I asked you what you want to talk about. Like, hey, let's talk about the business structuring and then also the funding. So, guys, I want you guys to tap in. Stephanie's going to deliver some amazing information. And then obviously, whatever questions you have, we can go into that. So, let's talk about that. So let's talk about business structuring because I think that's interesting. Because when most people think about getting into business, they're just thinking about rolling and running and going, right? What's
Yes.
some of the elements that make up like a strong business foundation and a strong business structure?
So definitely a team is number one because
Mm,
a lot of times people start their business, they do their LLC, they do their EIN, they're like, hey, I have a business. But having a strong team is definitely important. A CPA, marketing, for someone to kind of guide you to, it's almost like a mentor. Because a lot of times, like for some of my mentees, right, I meet with them and they're like, okay, I got my EIN number, I got my corporate, my LLC done. I'm good. I'm ready to roll, make all this money. And I'm like, okay, well, do you have a DUNS? They're like, well, what's that? Did you register on SAMS.gov? They're like, well, what's that? Did you trademark? They're like, no. So really and truly, you want to set up your business to the point where you have everything covered before you go spending $1,000 on marketing material. Because especially for the trademark, which is so important, a lot of people have businesses and it's not protected. And honestly, if you don't protect your company, you technically don't really have a business if it's not trademarked. And what I mean by that, some people, for example, let's say you live in New York and I live in Florida. The states don't speak to each other. So if I register Fashion Dolls here in Florida, somebody could go register one in New York. And then I'm like, well, wait, you can't use my name, but technically you have no rights to it because it's not protected. So before I go, making shirts and jackets like this to look real cute, and somebody that already in New York is on the same thing, they could send you a cease and desist and say, hey, you can't use my name, but however, if you want to, you got to pay me some money. So really and truly, you want to be able to structure it properly and protect your brand at the same time before we go on to the next level of making all this money. So a lot of people are not even there yet. They'll have on Instagram, if you ever research Instagram and see, who else out there has my name before you even go and register it. So structuring it is important to the point. You got your EIN, yes, you got your DUNS, you register on SAMS, you got your trademark, you got a nice CPA to tell you exactly how you should structure, when you should switch from an LLC to an S corp, which is also important. That's really what comes to structuring, not writing off everything, because let's say you have a goal for your business, in the next year or so, you want to, and you want to get like a brick and mortar. So now you're writing off everything, and you never had a CPA because you don't want to pay Uncle Sam, and you want to expand. Now you can't because you're in the negative. So all of that kind of ties into business structuring, so that when you're ready to elevate or grow your business, you're not trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I do this? Because now I've done all these things wrong.
So one of the things I want to kind of go back to that you mentioned was the trademark, right? Because that's interesting, because there are people out here that are kind of looking at, how successful is your business going to be, and their business is making sure that you don't have a trademark, so that they can go buy your trademark and either hold it hostage or sell it
Yep.
back to you, right?
Yes.
And then they can price it out whatever you want, because especially if you're a couple years in business and you got some traction, and it's like your business identity is connected to that, but you don't own the trademark, but I own it, and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna need $250,000. What we doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you got to make a tough decision, like, do I spend that money
Right.
because
Is it worth it?
I'm so deep in the branding and how I'm moving, and everyone knows me as this, so I just spend that money, or do I rebrand, change the name, do business as something else? So that's very, very important. So I'm super like happy that you mentioned that, because I think that's something that comes overlooked for sure.
Yes. It's important. So to just give you guys a little bit about myself and what I did before I became the CEO of Fashion Dolls. Well, see, I was a business manager for a very big corporate bank. And I did that for over 15 years. So one thing that they did that I always be thankful for is teaching us a lot of stuff when it comes to business and educating us, so then we can educate our customers. And we're talking like $1 million customers that have like $10 million in assets or revenue, and they're coming to us for ideas. So one thing that they did that I'm thankful that I could put into my business is training. Like they
Mm.
trained us to become that expert that we could then go on and teach somebody else. And then one thing that they always told us is, explain to our customers how important it is to structure your business, have a really good CPA, because a lot of times too, you will have a CPA, but all he does is just file your taxes. And that's not enough. You need a CPA that can educate you on what's going on, what's a depreciation, what's a write off, what's interest, what's an add back, what's all those things, what's bad debt, what's a one-time expense. And sometimes people are like, well, I don't know that. Like, I don't know what that is, because your CPA is just filing your taxes. He's not educating you on what's going on. So when you go to the bank now and you're like, okay, I want some money, and they're asking all these questions, well, what's this on your tax returns, and what's that, and what's that, you're like, well, I don't know, I gotta ask my CPA. So that goes back into, your team having someone that can educate you and not just file your taxes so that, you could just not pay Uncle Sam or pay Uncle Sam as little as possible. That's all about structuring too. So when it comes to trademark, like for me, the first thing I did was put my trademark in. I didn't know at this point in my life that I probably wouldn't be working with them anymore, or I'll have a store. And, I didn't know none of this, but I knew that this is something I wanted to do. And I think a lot of times people don't trademark their business because they think so short term, right? They're like, okay, I just want to make some money. I got some bills to pay. I'm just going to start this business, make some money, and whatever happens. But honestly, if you're that type of person and you want to have a business and this is something that you love to do and you see yourself doing it for a very long time, I highly recommend you to protect your brand, because you never know where it can go within the next 2 to 5 years. And for me, I always think big. So for me, I trademark and I patent a product that I invented, which just got approved last month, that my patent got approved. So who know that when I made a product, 2 years later, that it would be doing so well. I didn't know, but I knew that it's something I wanted to do and I wanted to protect it. Just like you said, somebody watching me and like, oh, damn, she invented that product. Like, that's doing really good. I got the money. Let me go ahead and make it again and trademark it because she can't afford it, or patent it because she can't afford it, or she's thinking small. And now I have to pay you to take it over.
100%. I think so. First of all, I think again what you said there highlights a lot of things that people need to pay attention to. And I think you mentioning the patenting process, if you do have a product, is also something that I feel like a lot of people aren't thinking about. So you putting those things in place in the very beginning because, like you say, you're thinking bigger of what it could be and what it will be, not just at the moment. So we got a question that just popped in. Angela asks, "How do you go about taking your company currently from an LLC to an S corp?" But before you answer that, I want to add on another question. Why would someone need to have an S corp? So two questions. Why do you need an F corp? And then the process of changing from the LLC to the S corp.
So that's where your CPA comes in play. So having a good CPA, he actually identifies when it's time for you to go to an S corp. When you're making a certain amount of money, and I always say over $100,000. Once you're making over six figures, you definitely want to go in an S corp because you're able to save on taxes when you go to an S corp. Everyone normally starts as an LLC, right? So that's just a general one. You go to LLC, or you're S corp, or you're a C corp. But once you get to an LLC and you see yourself start making a certain amount of money, having a good CPA will be able to identify, hey, okay, Steph, your business is doing really well. You're growing really fast. Okay, now it's time for you to go to an S corp. And that's what happened to me. My CPA was like, okay, well, I kind of knew once you hit six figures, yeah, because now you're in a different tax bracket. Now you're going to be paying so much more if you don't convert to an S corp. So if you stay in an S corp, if you stay in an LLC making $500,000, that's a big bill. And you're right, you're cutting yourself short. So if you're making over $100,000, I would say you need to talk to your CPA and be like, hey, okay, I think it's time for me to switch to an S corp, because you're able to save more in taxes when you switch from an LLC to an S corp.
I hope that answered your question, Angela. I got some heat from that. I think one of the things that you don't think about is when you need to change. So identifying it's at that six figure mark or whatever, but knowing that this is probably a move that you need to consider making as you continue to grow in your business and excel in your business is great. So back on the trademarks real quick, where are some places people can go to file a trademark?
So they can actually go on the government website, and it's free to do your search on the government website. So I think it's USCIS. I don't have it at the top of my head, but if you type in trademark search, there's a government website that you can actually go on, and you can type in your name, and you will see if your name is available or if it's already taken. And a lot of times, if it's something really common, it might be taken, like some of the words might be taken, but you can kind of switch it around. But for me, I leave that work up to the experts. I don't try to do things that I don't really know nothing about. So I have a trademark attorney, and I literally is like, okay, I need to protect my brand. And she will literally do the search, because one thing that she did tell me is a lot of times, even if you go on that website, it doesn't give you as much information than when they do it. So I would just recommend to hire a trademark attorney, and you can have her and the biz lawyer did my fashion dolls trademark. So you can go to her and you can have her do your trademark search. She would give you a whole list of different options, different names, if it's taken, if it's close to, or even if it will pass the test. Because sometimes there's also names that they will not approve. Even though that you like it, they're like, okay, no, it's too close to this or whatever it may be. And you may have to switch things up. So before, again, you go invest in a whole lot of money, you want to make sure that you are contacting an attorney, a trademark attorney like the biz lawyer, um, or it's your brand lawyer. Like she's another one too that did my Snatch Gang trademark, and let them do the search because it's a little deeper, and then she will come up with the whole list. It's like, okay, yeah, we're good to go. Let's go ahead and submit your trademark.
And then with the trademark, also, it depends because like I may own a trademark on like the education piece of it, but then Stephanie may own the same trademark, but she may own it for apparel. So I mean, she
Yep.
can use it for apparel. I can use it for education, and then it would have to be a conversation between us if we decide that, hey, we could do this or we could do that, or you can use it or not use it. Or I could see her come out with an information product and I'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa.
We can't.
You can't do it. I know you got it on the apparel, but anything we're gonna have to break some bread on that or something.
Yep.
So,
And there's different classes too. So like he was
exactly.
saying, those are different class. So his class is going to be different from my class. So you definitely want to be very specific. And one thing that my attorney always says, she's like, do all the classes.
Yeah.
Because you never know. Because if you just do one, and the reason why people may do one is because it costs more, right?
Mhm.
So I know a lot of times people think to do something about based on the dollar amount. But one thing that one of my really close, I call her like my sister, Miss Bling Miami, taught me is don't ask how much it's going to cost, ask how much it's going to make you, right? So don't think about the dollar amount. Ask yourself, okay, don't ask how much is it? Like, how much money is this going to make me when I invest this money into this, right? Because having those different classes, each class is going to cost you more money, but do it anyway because you don't know from a year from now, you might want to start teaching classes. And now you can't because you never registered that and somebody else already took it. So now you got to kind of stick in your little box. Like you don't want to be in a box. You want to be able to do whatever you wish with your name.
So you also talked about patents. So what are some of the things that people could imagine that they can actually patent? Because I know there could be some people that probably have products or things out and they never even thought about patenting it. So what are like some of the classifications of items that can be patented?
So, for example, for me, I have an item called an ab board. So, I'm actually a coach for women that have plastic surgery. And when I had my procedure done, there was already one similar out there, but it just wasn't given. Like, it wasn't delivering the results that we are looking for as someone that is post op. So, I went into my garage and I just drew up something and made this ab board that was a little longer, wider, more softer to the body, which is more comfortable. And then I sent it to a few of my dolls and I was like, hey, try this and tell me how it works. And they loved it because we got amazing results from it. So then I was like, okay. And then the feedback, whether it was so great that I was like, I need to patent this because I want to sell to everyone. I want to sell all over the world. I want to have in doctor offices, surgery centers. But guess what? I can't do that if it's not patent because then one of these doctors could be like, "Oh, this is a great product and it's not patent or trademark. Yeah, let me do that and snag this from under her nose." And now they're making millions on me. So what I did is I went to another lawyer here locally and I did the patent on it. And the patent is a little bit different. So the patent is, let's say for these frames, but glass is not really a common one because it's too popular, right? But let's just use it as an example. If you was the first person to invent these glasses, now you could go get a lawyer and be like, hey, I came up with this dope idea that if you can't see, you could wear some glasses and this is how I have a design and this is the purpose of it and whatever it does. And now he can go ahead and create a patent. It's very expensive, but again, don't ask how much it's going to cost. Ask yourself how much money is it going to make you, right? And he could go ahead and patent it. So now your invention belongs to you and you only. Nobody in the world can ever copy you. And if they want to, like Brandon said, you're gonna have to run me a check, right?
Give
Like
me
if
a
you want to
bag.
go ahead, you're gonna have to go run me a check. So if you create a product that and if you're not sure, because like body butters and stuff, not really. You can, there's one, there's different type of patents too as well. So that's why I always say it's great to have an attorney in on your team so that you can run ideas and questions by them and be like, hey, I have this product. Do you think I could patent it? And they're like, yeah or no, or why? And also you have to do it within the first year of the invention. So you can't wait 2 years later and then decide to patent it. You have to do it within that 1 year, or you have to make a change on it and then let within that year of the change, now you can patent it. So that's another thing too. If you created something, because they could tell if it's been out there for over a year. They just Google because you post it on your website, you post it on Instagram, you post it on social media platforms, and that history stays out there. Because when I Google my app board, when they did it, it came up, but it was within the year.
So
So I was okay.
what are the downsides of if you don't do it within that year? What does that leave you open to?
You can't patent it. You have
Oh,
to
you won't
make
be
a
able to patent it
change.
because then at
No,
that
you
point
have to make a
it's like
change to the
public.
product.
It's like public at that point, so it's not like
Yes,
yours anymore. You
correct.
didn't basically invent it because it wasn't within this period. Okay,
Correct.
all
So
right.
if it's after the year, what you have to do is either make the frame bigger, longer, like change something to it that now it becomes a new invention and now you can go ahead and patent it. But if it's over the year, you can't.
So can I just refer you as an inventor, not CEO, first lady, like CEO and inventor? You know, I didn't even know that. That's amazing, yo.
Yes,
That's
yes.
dope.
I have a lot of stuff I don't really publicly talk about. I don't know. I'm just humble about it
I'm gonna have to
because
fly to Florida and we have to do it like a longer podcast situation. You know what I'm saying? Because
no, like
they
it's
gotta
just
hear
so
the
much
story.
I've done, but I don't talk about everything. I don't know. Like I'm not the type to like I don't want to say show off, but like these are just things to me. I guess it's normal for me because I've been in the
Yeah,
business industry,
yeah.
and these are conversations that I have with my clients. So for me to do it for myself, I don't think it's a big deal. But to somebody else, they're like, "Girl, that's a big deal. Like having a
No.
patent."
Yeah,
So
you gotta like show that torch, man. Because
I
what it
know.
does is it's normal for you, but it will start normalizing the idea to other people and encourage them to, oh, I could do it. I could patent this idea. I didn't even know I could do. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I think that would be great. You know, just to share that narrative a little bit more. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually the first person. Well, I posted the picture of my patent approval when I first got it on my Instagram, but I never had a conversation about it. So you're actually the first person I actually
Yeah.
talk about having the patent.
No, no, no.
Because to
I'm
me it's not a
celebrating.
big deal, but to other people it's a big deal. But I get it.
That's a huge deal. That's amazing. No, for
Yeah.
sure. So I know our time's coming short, but what I wanted to do is because I wanted to also highlight some of the funding, right? So generally, people will say, you know, these are different ways you can fund or whatever. What I want to ask you is, what's on the other side of it, right? So what are maybe some myths or misclassifications of funding, right? So obviously we can go get funding, but what's on the other side of it, right? So
Mhm.
what are maybe some misconceptions around funding or misusage of misusage of funding?
So one thing I would say, kind of like behind the scenes of banking, right? So one thing I don't think a lot of people know is that you don't have to be in business 2 years to get funding. So a lot of people feel like I have to be in business a year or 2 years or longer to get funding. You really don't have to. You can literally say, okay, fashion novelty, I want to open a clothing store, I want to have this, I want to have that, but I don't have any money. How can I get some money? And they're like, no, you can't, or you'll find yourself going to these investors paying 20-30%. You can actually go to SBA.gov and get an SBA loan. Okay. So you can get a 7A, which is one of the very popular ones that you can get for businesses that are brand new. And you would need a business plan and a 2 year projection. Sometimes they'll ask for a resume, and if you don't have a business plan, you can actually get one for free. Yes, freemium. I call it freemium. You can actually go on SBA.gov website and you can type in your zip code and you can actually find a SBA coach, or they call them almost like a mentor, and they will actually create your business plan and your projections for you for free, so that you can then turn around and you can go to one of the SBA approved lenders or the bank and apply for funding for your business that you haven't even made any money from. And they will actually lend you up to 85% of it, and then the bank covers either 25 sometimes or 15% the bank covers, but SBA covers up to 85% of that lending. So I think a lot of people don't know that. They feel like they have to have the money up front to do stuff, or your own money. But that's why I say OPM, use other people's money, because you can use the government's money to fund your business without being in business for 6 months even.
Yo, first of all, I think that freemium you breakdown you just gave. So someone can go there, get their whole business plan drawn up and potential projections. Then you could take that information and then apply for a loan.
Yep.
That's crazy, guys. So Angela asks, what's the name of the org that you write the business plan? So it's SBA.
SBA.gov.
SBA.gov.
And you want to do a 7A. So there's different loans. There's Express, 7A, 504. But for this particular business, because you're not in business so long, you could do a SBA 7A. And you also want to do a startup cost analysis form, which is also you can find on SBA.gov, or you could just Google one. I think a lot of businesses don't know how much money they need to open up a business or start a business. They're like, well, however much I can get. Never say that. Never go to a bank and tell them that. They don't like that. Okay. You always want to know how much money you need, because one thing with SBA, if you project that you're going to need $100,000, or you're thinking you only need $100,000 to start your business, but then you turn around and you need additional 25,000, you cannot go back and apply, because you can only have one SBA loan at a time. So you need to be very specific in the amount. And by filling out the startup cost analysis form, it helps you figure out all of the things that you'll need to pay for and how much money you'll need, so that you can then take and say, okay, this is how much money I will need. I need $125,000. Instead of assuming or estimating in your head how much money you need, like you feel that you need, and you get the amount that you really, really need to start your business.
So basically, what you're saying is these are things that somebody can do out the gate that would set them up properly when you're looking to start a business. So you're not just running out selling and marketing. You actually have a foundation and a structure that you can start building upon, and position yourself that you can actually get some capital, infuse some capital, so you can then use that to infuse into your business, so you can actually get access to other things, which may be what you mentioned in the beginning, investing in your team, because you may not be able to pay for that CPA or those attorneys at the beginning, but this is a way that you can do that, or maybe even that first employee, or nowadays a virtual assistant.
Exactly. It's all about building a team and structuring, and then of course the funding, utilizing the bank's money. Like that's what it's there for. Especially if you have like cards that are 0% for a year. Think about it. If you wanted to buy some inventory to start your business, and it's $10,000 or $5,000, and a bank is giving you a card at 0% for 12 months or sometimes 15 months, that's like free money, because now you have 12 months to pay back $5,000 or $10,000. You buy the inventory, you flip it, because now you're going to add your markup to whatever your inventory is. You're going to make that money back in like 60 to 90 days. So now you made that money back. You can go pay the card off in that time frame. Still, you haven't paid any interest. It's like somebody just gave you $10,000 for free. So there's so many different ways to get funding. You could get the Apple Card. And don't be afraid to use your credit sometimes to start out, because that's just the way sometimes you have to. So don't be afraid to go get a card under your name, because once you get that first card, you start making money. Now you can go apply for Amex for your business. Now you could go apply, for lending from the banks under your business, and not under you no more. So don't be afraid to take that step and just use your credit to do so. And then you could go remove the inquiries, from your credit report. That's a whole other conversation too. So you could go apply for something, you can get it or don't get it, and increase killers, right? So now you could go get the inquiry removed, and now you got credit cards. I literally did this like few weeks ago, I got 4 Amex credit cards with no credit inquiry. So it's just different ways to do it, to use other people's money with no credit inquiries.
So CEO, first lady / inventor. Stephanie coming with a lot of gems and firepower this morning, and I'm really happy that we asked that last question about funding and not just kind of identifying, what funding is, because I think when most people do talk about funding, they just talk about credit cards and loans and lines of credit. But I really wanted to kind of give them a little bit more context behind the scenes. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
and I really, really appreciate you sharing that. So if you guys have any other questions for Stephanie, please drop them in the chat. And while you guys are putting these last questions together, let them know where they can find you, what you currently have going on, and if they want to learn more about you, how they can tap in.
Sure. So you can find me on Instagram as CEO First Lady. You can also find me on TikTok at First Lady, the Boss Lady. My business is Fashion Dolls Boutique, and I also do business coaching as well. I actually have a 5-day mentorship coming up April 15th. So if anyone is interested, feel free to hit me up on Instagram, or you can click the link in my bio on my Instagram page to sign up for my 5-day mentorship class, where I call the bank to the bag. So give you everything that I
Bank
have.
to the bag.
Bank to the bag. So I'm
Well, we'll
giving you
do.
everything.
We'll put that below as well, so you guys can just click the link. As soon as the live is over, this episode will be available on YouTube, and then you guys can click the link below, rewatch anything if you missed it, and then obviously follow her on Instagram and get in this 5-day class. So before we let you go, what are some of the highlights that's going to be in this 5-day mentorship that they could lock into?
Absolutely. So we're gonna go over business structuring, business funding, marketing, and branding. I'm gonna have my CPA come in and tell you how important it is to make sure that you have your business structured the right way as an LLC, as an S corp, just depending on what you do, what your industry is. And then, of course, Facebook ads. I'm actually gonna have one of my mentors come in and talk about the marketing piece, and either having Facebook ads, Pinterest, like all social media platforms, how you can market, text, email marketing, and also content, how to make content, how important it is to make content, post content, and figure out who is your target audience, because not everybody is your customer.
That is so true. So, CEO, First Lady, Stephanie, really, really appreciate you. I think I'm going to just start addressing you as the inventor, because that makes me feel good on the inside. So,
That's fine.
thanks for stopping by the Imperfect Action Show. You guys, make sure that you tap into her on Instagram at CEO First Lady. Jump into that 5-day bank to the bag mentorship. Definitely lock in with that. And if you guys have any questions, hit her up in the DMs. All right. So
Yeah,
we see you
absolutely.
guys tomorrow. Stephanie, any final words or anything?
I just want to let the people know your current situation is not your final destination. Okay. So, what that means is you might be going through it right now, but do not give up, because that is not your final destination. It's just the beginning. So, whatever you have going on is going to pass. This too shall pass. Stay motivated, stay having faith. Talk to the Almighty. He is always there for us. And thank you, Brandon, for having me on your platform. I truly, truly appreciate it.
100%. And we would love to have you back sometime. And like I said, I'm going to pull up Florida at some point. We're gonna do the full podcast.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. This has been an Imperfect Action Show where we share lessons on business, marketing, strategies, so you can take this information, implement it into your life, into your business immediately. Take that action, learn something. All right. So we'll see you guys tomorrow with another episode. Thanks a lot.
Bye, y'all.